Three, two, one. Hey everyone, this is Spunkify here from League Top 10, and I have a special guest with me today, Exogenesis, and we are going to give you our first impressions of Sona here. Now, Sona is the newest League of Legends champion in the game, and she is by all means a support, and we just wanted to kind of give a little breakdown of her, and we got the chance to play around with her a little bit, and we just wanted to kind of tell you what she's about, what she's good with. So, Exo, I wanted to first talk about with you exactly what role does Sona, what does she fulfill? What is she good at?
Well, Sona as a support character is strictly good at keeping a lane pushed, healing her allies in a team fight, giving the various support buffs that she has, and she's a mobile target without using the ult. And she's really, really good at it.
Yeah, she does the stance maneuver like Udyr does. Her first three abilities, her Q, W, and E, they all are stances, and so basically every time you use one, you push Q, for example, not only will you proc something, a maneuver, but you'll also queue up an active version of an aura. And this aura that it gives off, it will be some type of buff to your allies and yourself. So, for example, her Q gives additional damage to her allies, as well as shoots out two beams that do damage to two nearby enemies. And these two nearby enemies, it will prioritize if one of them is a champion. Her W is a single target automatic heal, so you don't even have to touch anybody. You just use your W. And what it does is it will go out to them and heal them, and it actually has a fairly long range. Not only that, but it also will heal you as well. So it's a very good kind of double target. And then her E is a movement speed boost, which actually gives you a movement speed boost as well as your nearby allies for a couple seconds. Now, unlike Udyr, her R is not also a stance. It is an actual conventional ultimate. And what it does is it kind of fires a cone out that does damage over time to enemies, as well as makes them dance for a couple seconds. So it's by all means a disable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what exactly is her passive? You want to kind of elaborate on her passive a little bit?
Well, her passive is actually really unique. It basically procs a sheen, but on your auto attack. So, say you use any of your abilities, it counts down, unlike Udyr's where it counts up. And on the countdown, it stays a passive. It kind of rotates into a reservoir system with it. And on your next auto attack, it places a debuff on your target, dealing additional damage, and the target takes additional damage from the next couple seconds of ability damage. So it's kind of like what's his name's Vladimir's ult, but much smaller scale.
Yeah, it is definitely like a built-in sheen, and it actually works really well. It actually does stack with sheen or Lichbane, we found out. So you'll actually see in the game we're watching, I actually, at the end of the game, I was trying out a couple different builds, and I actually built a Lichbane in this game, and it stacks with Lichbane. So it actually provides a nice little nuke if you can time it right. So that is one thing that is very good with her. Now, I do want to point out that she is, by all means, a support, so don't think you're going to go in the game and freaking, carry every time you play with her, because we did see that she does do pretty moderate damage with her Q coupled with her passive and her ultimate to some extent, but it isn't anything crazy. It's not, you're not going to, kill an entire team with just a rotation of a Q and a passive. But you'll see during this we actually get some pretty nice kills off. She is, Exo will tell you this himself, but she is a master at KSing, isn't she?
Oh boy, you knew.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say there's quite a few times when just because of her ability to queue up her passive so quickly that you can just you're just auto attacking, just trying to put in some extra damage, and you'll end up auto attacking for 500 due to her Q. I mean, not her Q, but her passive, and end up just, killing somebody that somebody worked so hard to kill. But she definitely is not meant to be a hard carry or anything like that. She is meant to be a support, and she fills that role very well. She's very comparable to Jaina, like you said, Tarek as well. I do feel that Jaina may have a slight bit more, not defensive, but slow down or knock up, kind of some type
A little more killing power, I
yeah.
would say. She can definitely place a team fight to your advantage or to your disadvantage, as people seen with Janna. But with Sona, it all depends if she can really land it, because even though it's not necessarily a skill shot, it does take a little bit of practice of getting all the enemies in a line, and it allows for your other teams to land all of their skill shots. So, I mean, it's comparable. Janna heals you and knocks the team away, whereas Sona just stops them for 1.5 seconds while spamming all of her other abilities.
And I did find her ultimate does have a slight actual animation delay. Like if you are trying to run up to someone really quickly and ulti them, if they're at the very end of where your ulti would normally proc, but
Yes.
by the time you
Yes.
actually use it, they'll actually be outside of the line. So I did notice that you do need to make sure that you're more towards the 3/4 inside of that actual bubble area for you to actually hit it on them. Otherwise, they actually escape. You'll actually see in this video the opposing not Jaina, Sona that we were playing against. She uses it in one case, but because our teammate was a little bit outside of the line, it actually doesn't hit him and he gets away. Now, one thing I wanted to mention definitely was who she actually lanes with extremely well and who she actually synergizes with extremely well. And in my opinion, it definitely has to be those individuals who have a consistent slow, either by way of using a frozen mallet or a scepter, or someone who actually has a low cooldown slow themselves. Like, as you can see right now, we have Nunu, and we just found that because of Sona's ability to do a speed increase on someone very quickly, coupled with anybody that has a speed increase or a slow themselves, like Nunu, it basically meant that that target was not going to get away at all. Just if you have mana and you can spam your E on Sona, whoever you're chasing just cannot get away. I had Blood Boil on me at one point with Nunu, and coupled with his slow, I mean, the person was never more than 1 foot away from us just because they couldn't get away. There was absolutely no way to get away. Just spamming E on him, giving that speed increase, it was pretty crazy.
True. Along the lines of that, with somebody with a persistent slow, she also does very good by herself. As with the recent patch that was introduced to Sona, came the new Innervating Locket. So basically, she can lane very well with almost everybody, or she can lane by herself. And with Catalyst, has she doesn't ever have to go back ever,
No.
unless she gets killed.
Now, I will mention that I found she does have a little bit of mana issue, especially early on. Because she dances like Udyr. If you have blue buff, you don't have a problem with it, but without any dedicated mana issue or mana item rather, you are going to have a little bit of trouble. I did find I was running out of mana quite quickly, especially in very intensive fights where you're spamming all your abilities really quick, just because she can use it very easily. And I did find probably the best mana item to get would have been like an Archangel staff, something like that, just because you're spamming your abilities, so you're actually making that reservoir, that pool, that much larger. But other than that, I felt that only one mana item at best was necessary just to keep that pool going. Otherwise, you could focus completely on utility or AP items.
True.
Now, as you'll see right here, this is a good case of how Sona can work well with someone that's slow. As you can see, Alan here as Nunu, he is just completely stacking up on the target. There is in no way any way for this Tarek to get away, just because with the E, you're just always on top of him. There's really no possible way for someone to get away from that unless they can actually stay there and fight. In the end, I would have to say that she is definitely capable. She would not be a definite first pick for any kind of support. If you're thinking support, she wouldn't be like the go-to support every single time. There will be cases when a stun would suffice better, or something like a slow from Jaina with a little bit extra damage. But she can definitely be a pick for those who want to stay in a lane and poke at people, and kind of get poked back on, because she can constantly heal them. She can keep them moving without much trouble, and still do some decent damage at the same time. I did want to point out that the opposing Sona we're fighting against here, I do feel like she kind of played Sona a little, obviously the wrong way, just because she went a little bit more aggressive Sona, which in my opinion you can be a little aggressive with Sona, but you can't be overly aggressive. Sona can be punished very easily for being overly aggressive. She does have the escape mechanic of having the extra speed increase, and if necessary use her ultimate. But if focus fire, she doesn't really. Her heal is moderate. It's not like a crazy heal. So, and she can't consistently spam that with 2 or 3 people on her and expect to get away. But did you have anything to add as far as late game Sona, for example?
Well, late game Sona should always, unless there's a carry on the team that has mana issues, should always have Golem. Whereas if she has Golem late game, she should have some cooldown runes. If that's almost standard for any character with mana. But if she has Golem, the reason why I think she gets so many KSs, and I don't even think it's intentional at times, is because everything has almost like a 3 second cooldown in between going through all of it. So she's shooting out 2 laser beams, healing out. She's healing one person at 2 people at a time because of herself. She's keeping everybody's speed increased. She's keeping up her attack damage aura and her magic resist and armor aura. All of this is super, 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 super important to have during a team fight where basically it comes down to 1 or 2 team fights late game. So at Baron or Savior at a tower, she's super, super useful because she can outlane and outreach everybody with her Q. Her Q has ridiculous range. So you get kind of close, you pop it, if there's no minions around, it'll hit the champions and you go back. And late game, it does really decent damage. I mean, you don't even have to have magic pen.
Definitely.
It's pretty silly.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And with that, it's going to be Spunkifying Exo signing out. So I'll see you guys later.